An ordinary shopping trip took an unexpected turn when Melania Trump faced a surprising confrontation at the bustling Beverly Center in Los Angeles. As the morning sun bathed the mall in a warm glow, the center buzzed with shoppers from all walks of life. Among them was a woman instantly recognizable to many, Melania Trump. Dressed in understated elegance, she moved quietly through the high-end boutiques, her head slightly tilted down to avoid unnecessary attention. To casual onlookers, she seemed like any other shopper, scanning racks of tailored blouses and silk scarves, occasionally running her fingers over the luxurious fabrics. Soft classical music played overhead, blending seamlessly with the low hum of conversations that added to the exclusive ambience. For those who noticed her, the sight of the former First Lady shopping without an entourage or fanfare was both novel and surprising. It was supposed to be an ordinary day, but the unexpected was just around the corner. She paused by a display of handbags, her eyes drawn to a sleek black clutch. For a brief moment, a smile flickered across her face, as if she was envisioning the perfect occasion to carry it. But her quiet morning was shattered. From across the store, a sharp, loud voice cut through the stillness. "Oh, you've got some nerve showing your face here." Conversations halted, heads turned, and the air thickened with tension. The speaker, a woman in her early 30s, casually dressed but radiating a fierce sense of indignation, didn't hesitate to voice her feelings. Her piercing gaze fixed on Melania, who froze momentarily, her hand still on the clutch. With practiced calm, Melania turned to face her accuser, her expression unreadable. The room seemed to shrink, the tension so thick it was almost tangible, and onlookers exchanged uneasy glances. The outspoken woman, her intent clear, strode toward Melania with determined steps. What happened next would leave everyone in the boutique stunned. Her voice, rising in intensity, sliced through the stillness. "You think you can just walk around like you're one of us after everything? Unbelievable!" Gasps rippled through the small crowd that had gathered, their curiosity giving way to growing concern. The woman's words dripped with anger, but beneath the fury was something deeper, an edge of personal frustration, as if Melania symbolized far more than just herself. Melania, ever composed, turned fully to face her accuser. Her calm yet firm demeanor betrayed no sign of panic. With her hands resting loosely at her sides, she met the woman's fiery gaze directly, her quiet confidence only fueling the woman's agitation. "You stand there acting like nothing's happened, like the world hasn't changed. People like you are the reason we're in this mess," the woman spat, her voice now trembling with emotion. The room seemed to collectively hold its breath as a boutique worker inched closer, unsure whether to intervene. Yet Melania didn't flinch or rush to respond. Instead, she waited, her silence amplifying the tension. Finally, her voice cut through the charged atmosphere, low, deliberate, and measured. "I don't know you," she said plainly, "but I can see you're upset. Perhaps you'd like to talk privately." The unexpected offer, spoken with such restraint, seemed to momentarily disarm the woman, leaving the crowd in stunned silence. She hesitated, her anger momentarily dimmed by surprise, but it didn't take long for her voice to rise again. "Privately? Oh no, you don't get to hide from this. People need to see who you really are." The small crowd swelled as shoppers lingered by the boutique's entrance, their curiosity piqued. Bags dangled from their hands as they whispered to one another, some discreetly, or not so discreetly, raising phones to capture the escalating scene. The tension was electric as the woman's voice grew louder, her words sharper, each one aimed like a dart. "You represent everything that's wrong with this country. How dare you walk around here like you're untouchable?" Melania remained poised, her calm composure unshaken, but her stillness only seemed to inflame the woman further. "You've hurt so many people. Do you even care? Or are you just another symbol of privilege pretending to understand the rest of us?" The air in the boutique felt heavy, almost suffocating, as every eye stayed glued to the confrontation. Murmurs rippled through the crowd, and the faint clicks of phone cameras punctuated the charged silence. Just when it seemed the tension couldn't climb any higher, someone unexpected stepped forward from the crowd, shifting the course of the moment entirely. The employee stood frozen, unsure whether to intervene or let the drama unfold. Then, without warning, the woman stepped closer, breaching Melania's personal space. Her gestures grew more erratic, her voice trembling as she spoke. People like me, we're the ones who suffer while people like you just exist. You have no idea what it's like to be on the other side. Her words carried a raw weight that silenced even the murmuring crowd. It was clear her anger wasn't just about Melania, it came from a deeper place, a well of frustration now unleashed on a symbol she couldn't ignore. Melania stood her ground, her gaze steady. I understand you're angry, she began, her voice calm and measured, but the woman cut her off, shouting, Don't you dare tell me how to feel. Her face flushed, her hands trembling as she gestured around the room. You walk around with your head high while the rest of us are struggling. Do you even see us? Do you care? The crowd had grown, now a sea of phones capturing every moment of the heated exchange. Some whispered words of support for Melania, while others nodded in agreement with the woman's fiery accusations, the tension in the room thick enough to cut with a knife. The atmosphere crackled with tension, emotions running high, when a voice suddenly rang out from the crowd, slicing through the chaos like a knife. That's enough. The unexpected interjection shifted the dynamic instantly as heads turned to see who had spoken. It was an elderly man, his commanding presence belying his simple attire, a button-down shirt and khakis. Despite his unassuming appearance, his quiet authority was undeniable, and the room seemed to still as he stepped forward. His silver hair gleamed under the boutique's lighting, and his calm, steady gaze swept over both Melania and the irate woman. That's enough, he repeated, his tone firmer this time. The crowd parted slightly, their curiosity now mingled with surprise. The woman, startled by the interruption, turned to him with a sharp retort. And who are you supposed to be? She snapped, her anger still simmering. The man didn't flinch. Locking eyes with her, he replied evenly, I'm someone who's tired of watching people tear each other apart. We all have our frustrations, but this isn't the way to fix anything. His words carried a weight that seemed to linger in the air, silencing the room. Even the woman appeared momentarily at a loss for how to respond. The crowd, which had been buzzing with whispered opinions moments before, fell into an expectant hush, their attention fully captured. The man turned to Melania, his voice softening as he addressed her directly. And you, Mrs. Trump, this is a moment for understanding, not pride. If you're willing, maybe you can show the rest of us what grace looks like, the man said, his voice calm yet resonant. Melania's expression shifted, her composure softening just enough to reveal a flicker of vulnerability. She nodded slowly, her voice steady as she replied, I am listening. The woman, still visibly upset, crossed her arms. Listening is easy to say, but do you even care about what's happening to people like me? She challenged. The man took a step closer, his tone empathetic but firm. She's here, isn't she? Right now, she's standing in front of you, not walking away. That counts for something. Maybe instead of shouting, you can tell her, tell all of us, what you're really feeling. The woman hesitated, her anger beginning to waver as the gravity of the moment settled over her. The crowd, which had been full of whispers and judgment earlier, now watched in hushed anticipation. Finally, she spoke, her voice cracking. I'm tired, she admitted. I'm tired of seeing people like her, people with everything, walking around like nothing's wrong while we're struggling just to get by. It's not fair. The man nodded, his kind expression unwavering. It isn't, he agreed. But blaming one person for all the world's problems doesn't make it better. Conversations like this, right here, are what help us start to understand each other. They can make a difference if we let them, the man said, his voice gentle but powerful. The woman looked at Melania, her anger now replaced by uncertainty. For the first time, Melania stepped forward, her words offering a bridge where there had only been division. She took a small step, her gaze steady and sincere as she addressed the woman directly. You're right, she began, her voice soft but resolute. Life isn't fair, and it's true that I have privileges many don't. But I don't walk around pretending nothing's wrong. I see the struggles, the pain, even if it's not always my own. Her words were calm, but they carried a weight that silenced even the skeptics in the crowd. The woman blinked, her defensive stance softening just slightly. "I can't fix everything," Melania continued, "but that doesn't mean I don't care. If I didn't, I wouldn't be standing here, listening to you, trying to understand. You have every right to your feelings, and I respect that. But maybe we can use this moment to see each other as people, not enemies." The woman hesitated, her emotions visibly battling within her. She glanced at the elderly man, who gave her an encouraging nod, and then back at Melania. "It just feels like no one listens, like no one really sees us," she admitted, her voice cracking. Melania stepped closer, her presence both commanding and compassionate. "I see you, and I hear you," she said simply. "Tell me what you need me to understand, not as someone you're angry at, but as someone who's willing to listen." The raw sincerity in her tone seemed to break through the woman's defenses. Tears welled up in her eyes, and she took a shaky breath, the tension in the air lifting as a new kind of connection formed. "We're just trying to make it, to feel like we matter," the woman said, her voice filled with raw emotion. "It feels like no one cares unless you're rich or powerful, and I don't know how to stop feeling so invisible." For the first time, the tension in the room began to dissolve. The crowd, once eager for drama, now watched in quiet reverence. The elderly man stepped back, his role complete, and the focus shifted entirely to the two women. Melania nodded, her expression calm yet thoughtful. "I don't have all the answers," she admitted, "but I do believe we're stronger when we talk to each other, not past each other. Maybe today can be a start." The woman wiped her eyes, her anger now replaced by a tentative hope. "Maybe," she said softly. The crowd seemed to collectively exhale, the atmosphere now charged with a new energy, one of shared understanding. They had witnessed something rare, a genuine moment of connection in the midst of chaos. As the crowd began to disperse, the air in the boutique felt lighter, almost transformed. Shoppers exchanged glances, some even sharing quiet smiles. The tension that had once filled the space was now replaced by a sense of unity. People weren't just leaving with shopping bags, they were leaving with a story, one that carried a message far greater than the scene they had just witnessed. The woman, still standing near Melania, seemed calmer now. Her posture had softened, and her earlier frustration had been replaced by something else entirely, a quiet introspection. She looked at Melania, who extended her hand, not as a formality, but as an offer of human connection. "Thank you for speaking your truth," Melania said. "It's not easy to confront someone, and I appreciate your honesty." The woman hesitated for a moment before taking her hand. "And thank you for listening. I didn't expect that," she admitted. "I thought you'd just walk away." Melania smiled faintly, her grip firm yet gentle. "Walking away never solves anything." As the woman left the boutique, the elderly man who had intervened earlier caught Melania's eye. He gave her a small nod of approval, a quiet acknowledgement of her grace under pressure. She returned the gesture with a slight smile before turning her attention back to the handbag she had been browsing. For the onlookers, it wasn't just an altercation, it was a moment that reminded them of the power of empathy, of standing firm but remaining open in the face of conflict. It wasn't about who was right or wrong, it was about recognizing the humanity in each other, even when emotions ran high. Moments like this don't just happen, they teach us something. In a world often divided by anger and misunderstanding, perhaps the greatest strength we can show is choosing connection over conflict. If this story resonated with you, consider sharing your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that inspire, challenge, and remind us of the power of human connection.